My name is Helen Graves. I'm 70 years old, a retired community nurse, and widow of 30 years. There's one place in this world that still smells like my husband's hands, the cedar cabin we built on Alder Hill. Every plank of that cabin was nailed by him the summer before he got sick. For me, it isn't property, it's memory, sealed in wood and stone. On a rainy Thursday, my phone rang. It was my neighbor Frank, who owns a bait shop near the trailhead. His voice was uneasy. Helen, are you selling the cabin? My stomach dropped. Of course not, why? Because there's a white SUV up here, plates from the city. Couple of men in suits walking around like they own the place. One of them looks an awful lot like your boy Mark. I gripped the counter until my knuckles went white. Stay put, Frank. I'm on my way. I drove the winding road faster than I had in years, windshield wipers slapping against sheets of rain. My heart thudded like a drum as the cabin came into view. Sure enough, there was Mark, my only son, standing under the porch eaves with a realtor. The man was gesturing broadly, pointing at the beams, the slope of the roof, the charming potential for a vacation rental. I slammed the car door hard enough to make them turn. "What is this?" I demanded. Mark's smile froze. "Mom, you weren't supposed to—" "Weren't supposed to what? Catch you selling the last piece of your father I have left?" The realtor looked awkward, adjusting his tie. "Mrs. Graves, we were told the property is in transition." "Transition?" My voice cracked like lightning. Mark raised his hands, palms out. "Mom, please, it's wasted equity. You don't even come up here anymore. The taxes are high, the place needs work. Let us handle it." "Let you handle it?" I spat. "You mean take it, dress it up, and sell it while I'm still breathing?" The rain hammered down, the cedar shingles dripping like tears. In that moment, I realized something ugly. My son wasn't just circling the cabin. He was circling my very life, waiting to carve it up for profit. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "You've chosen the wrong battlefield, Mark. This cabin doesn't belong to you, and neither does my silence." The rain eased to a drizzle, but the tension thickened like fog. I stepped onto the porch, water dripping from my coat. Mark shifted from one foot to the other, clearly wishing the realtor would vanish. "Go wait in the car," Mark muttered to him. The man nodded quickly and disappeared down the steps, leaving us face to face. I folded my arms. "Now tell me, Mark, why is a stranger planning to sell what doesn't belong to him?" He blew out a breath. "Mom, don't make this harder. The cabin just sits here. You don't drive up often, it's falling apart. Meanwhile, Jenna and I are drowning in debt. This place could solve everything." My chest tightened. "Solve your everything by erasing mine? Don't be so dramatic." He rubbed his temples. "Dad's been gone 30 years. You've had your time with the cabin. Now it needs to work for the rest of us." The word stung like a slap. "Work for the rest of us? Your father built this with his hands so you'd know what roots feel like. And you stand here calling it wasted equity?" Mark's jaw set. "I'm not asking, Mom. Jenna and I agreed. It's the smart move. The realtor says the market is hot. We can clear 250 easy. That money pays off our credit cards, the SUV loan, Sophie's college fund." I cut him off, voice sharp. "Don't you dare put Sophie's name in this. Don't use my granddaughter to justify betrayal." At that moment, Jenna's voice floated up from the path. She had been waiting in the car but decided to join. Umbrella in hand, lipstick unbothered by the rain, she looked me over like I was a stubborn patient refusing medicine. "Helen," she said smoothly, "we all appreciate the history, but clinging to old wood won't pay bills. Mark is right. It's time to be practical." "Practical?" I snapped. "Practical is saving every penny to keep this cabin alive while raising him. Practical is fixing the roof myself when shingles blew off. Practical is not letting my own blood sign away my memories." Jenna tilted her head, almost pitying. "You're tired, Helen. It's understandable. But sometimes older folks need to let go. We're just trying to help." That word again, help, as if theft wrapped in kindness tasted sweeter. I stepped closer, my voice low but cutting. "You listen to me. If you so much as lift another pen over this property, you'll find out just how much fight is left in me. Don't mistake age for weakness." Mark's face flushed. Jenna's lips thinned, but neither spoke. They weren't used to hearing my no. I let the silence stretch before delivering the last blow. This cabin will not be sold. Not by you. Not by anyone. Not while I draw breath. Sunday morning, I walked into church carrying the same worn Bible James had given me on our 10th anniversary. Normally, people greeted me warmly. That day, though, the smiles carried something else: curiosity, pity. Margaret leaned in as I took my pew. "Helen, I hear you're finally letting go of the cabin. Good for you. It must be such a relief." My throat tightened. I never said that. But she only patted my hand as if humoring me. Across the aisle, Harold whispered to another usher, loud enough for me to catch, "Mark's handling her property now." About time. The words followed me through every hymn, every prayer. My son and daughter-in-law had spun a story, and the congregation swallowed it whole. After service, I found Jenna in the fellowship hall surrounded by women fussing over her lemon bars. She was all charm, laughing easily. I approached just as she said, "Yes, it's true. Mark's taking care of the cabin. Helen deserves to rest now." The circle of women nodded approvingly. One even clapped. I felt my ears burn. "Funny," I said loudly. "I don't recall giving permission." The chatter fell silent. Jenna turned smoothly, smile never fading. "Helen dear, you don't need to explain. Everyone understands transitions are hard." "Transitions?" I hissed. "The only transition here is you twisting the truth." Gasps fluttered. Jenna's eyes flashed, but her smile stayed fixed. "We'll talk at home." She squeezed my arm with fingers too tight, too practiced. I pulled free. "No, we'll talk here. Stop telling people I've surrendered the cabin. I haven't." The women shifted uncomfortably, their approval dimming into doubt. But the damage was done. By the time I left, I felt like a ghost walking through whispers. That evening, Lily came over with homework books under her arm. She dropped her bag on the table, hesitated, then said softly, "Grandma, Mom, and Dad, they were talking last night. They said once the cabin sells, we'll finally breathe again. And Dad promised to buy Mom that new SUV she's been wanting." My chest caved in. "They told you that?" She nodded, eyes wide. "They thought I wasn't listening. So that was it. Not just debts, not just survival. They were planning luxuries with the bones of my memories." I touched Lily's hand. "Thank you for telling me, sweetheart." She bit her lip. "Grandma, are you going to lose it? The cabin?" I stared at the table, the wood scarred from years of family dinners. Betrayal had already gone public, and now it was seeping into my granddaughter's life like poison. "I won't lose it," I said quietly, though inside I wasn't sure. "But it looks like I'll have to fight harder than I ever thought." On Tuesday morning, the letter came, a thick envelope from the bank, addressed to me but stamped urgent. I tore it open at the kitchen counter, expecting another tax notice. What I found made my knees buckle. Notice of foreclosure proceedings, the words blurred. I read again. According to the bank, a home equity loan had been taken out against the Alder Hill cabin, signed by me, Helen Graves. Payment delinquent. Cabin at risk of seizure within 90 days. My hands trembled as I flipped to the attached page. There it was, scrawled across the bottom. My signature. Except it wasn't mine. The loops were wrong, the slant crooked. A forgery. I sank into a chair, clutching the paper. For decades I'd lived modestly, never once laid on a bill, and now my son's lies had summoned a bank to take the only thing left of James. The phone rang. I answered with a dry throat. It was Jenna. Her voice was sickly sweet. "Oh, Helen, I assume you've seen the notice. Don't worry, Mark and I are handling it. Once the cabin sells, the loan disappears." "Easy." "You forged my name?" I whispered. Silence, then a soft laugh. "You're imagining things. At your age, paperwork blurs. Let us carry the weight." My grip on the receiver tightened. "You carry nothing. You steal." Her tone sharpened. "Watch yourself. Without us, you'll end up broke and alone. At least this way, everyone wins." I slammed the phone down before tears spilled. The room felt too big, too empty. For years, I'd told myself age meant invisibility, but never did I think it would make me disposable. That night, I drove up to the cabin alone. Rain had given way to fog, the trees standing like silent witnesses. Inside, the air smelled of cedar and dust. I lit the fireplace, sat on the old couch James once built, and stared at the foreclosure notice in my lap. I whispered into the crackling flames. They think I'm already gone. For the first time, I felt it. Not just betrayal, but erasure. And sitting there, surrounded by everything I'd fought to keep, I wondered if I had the strength to fight at all. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table with the foreclosure notice spread open like a wound. The night before, I had nearly given in, nearly believed the whisper in my head that said, "You're too old. Let them take it." But another voice rose louder, steadier. James's voice, the way he used to say when patients doubted me at the clinic, "Helen, paper doesn't lie, fight with the facts." So I picked up the phone and called Ruth. Ruth and I had worked side by side at the county hospital for 20 years. After retiring, she trained as a volunteer paralegal, helping seniors fight scams. If anyone knew where to start, it was her. When she opened her door, her gray hair tied back in its usual braid, I almost broke down. Instead, I held out the letter. "They forged me, Ruth. Mark and Jenna, they took the cabin." She led me straight to her dining table, cleared of everything but stacks of legal pads. She adjusted her glasses and read every line. Then she tapped the signature with her pen. "This loop here, not yours. And banks keep originals. If they filed this electronically, there's a fingerprint trail. Every forgery leaves one." I blinked. "So we can prove it?" Her eyes hardened. "Yes, but you need more than outrage. You need receipts, a trail so clear even Jenna can't spin it." We spent hours piecing together the puzzle. Ruth logged into property records, pulled deeds, cross-checked signatures. Each inconsistency she circled in red. She showed me how to request the notary log. If the notary's book didn't match, that was proof of fraud. By afternoon, the dining table looked like a crime board. Statements, deeds, Ruth's notes scribbled in sharp handwriting. "Next step," Ruth said firmly, "is legal muscle. Delgado, remember her? She used to represent the nurses' union. Tough as nails, no patience for liars." I nodded, feeling something stir in my chest I hadn't felt since my nursing days. Resolve. That evening, I met with Miss Delgado in her downtown office. She scanned the forged signature, lips pressed tight. "This is actionable. Forgery, fraud, elder exploitation. I can freeze any pending sale within 48 hours. Her confidence lit something inside me. I wasn't powerless. I was armed. "Do it," I said. My voice was steady. Delgado leaned back, nodding. "We will. But Helen, don't hide the truth. Bring it into the open. Fraud hates daylight." On the drive home, I rehearsed it in my head. Not pleading, not begging, but exposing. If Jenna wanted to humiliate me in whispers at church, I would humiliate her with evidence at my own table. That night I wrote in my notebook, "They forged my name. I will write the next chapter myself." 2 days later, I returned to Delgado's office with Ruth by my side. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean, but inside me the storm was still raging. Delgado laid out a series of crisp documents across the polished oak desk. "This," she said, tapping the top page, "transfers the Alderhill cabin into the Heritage Trust. Once it's in, no private sale can touch it. It becomes protected property, with you as trustee for life. Your son cannot borrow against it, cannot sell it, cannot even use it as collateral. Do you understand?" I nodded, my throat tight. "Yes, let's do it." Pen in hand, I signed each page slowly, savoring every stroke of ink. For years, my signature had been twisted, copied, stolen. Today, it belonged only to me. Ruth squeezed my arm, whispering, "That's the sound of a door locking behind them." By afternoon, the transfer was filed. The cabin was beyond Mark and Jenna's reach, but Delgado wasn't finished. She pulled out another folder. "These are certified copies of the forged mortgage and your verified signatures from past deeds. At dinner, you lay these out. Let them see the evidence. And Helen, don't argue. Present. Let the silence choke them." That night at home, I spread the papers on my kitchen table. The trust certificate, the affidavits, the notary log Ruth had secured showing no record of my presence. Proof layered upon proof. I called David, my son. My voice didn't waver. "Family dinner, Saturday, my house, all of you." There was a pause on the line, then his uneasy, "Sure, Mom, we'll be there." When I hung up, I didn't collapse into grief. I stood taller. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I was the one setting the stage. On Friday, Lily stopped by after school. She spotted the folders and raised her brows. Grandma, what's all this? Armor, I told her simply. She smiled, small but fierce. Good, they won't see it coming. That night, I packed the documents into a leather satchel James had once used for his medical rounds. It felt right. He had carried medicines to heal. I would carry papers to cure betrayal. As I zipped it closed, I whispered into the quiet kitchen. This is my move, and it won't be undone. Saturday evening, I roasted chicken the way James used to like. Lemon, rosemary, crisp skin. The smell filled the house, masking the tension that buzzed beneath my ribs. The oak table was set for 5. Me, Mark, Jenna, Lily, and Ruth. But instead of flowers in the center, a leather satchel rested there like a silent judge. Mark arrived first, dragging his feet, eyes glued to his phone. Jenna swept in moments later, perfume clouding the air, smile sharp enough to cut glass. Lily trailed them, quiet, clutching her backpack. Ruth was already in the kitchen, pouring tea like she owned the place. Mom, Mark began, sitting down stiffly. What's all this about? I served the food in silence, waited until plates were filled, forks clinked. Then I opened the satchel and laid the documents out one by one. This, I said, sliding the foreclosure notice forward, claims I took out a loan against the Alder Hill cabin, except I flipped to the notary log. I never signed it. The notary never saw me. Jenna's face didn't flinch. Helen, you're confused. Paperwork gets messy. At your age, I cut her off. At my age, I can still read. And Ruth can too. Ruth leaned forward, tapping the circled discrepancies. These loops, these angles, this is not Helen's handwriting. The bank will testify to it. The Heritage Trust already has the property locked in. You can't touch it. Mark's fork clattered onto his plate. You what? I transferred the cabin, I said calmly. Protected, beyond your reach, forever. Jenna laughed, brittle and sharp. You can't do that. That's family property. You've doomed us. We needed that money. I rose slowly, palms flat on the table. No, you needed my silence, and it's gone. Lily gasped softly, then looked straight at her parents. You forged Grandma's name? Mark's jaw clenched. It's not that simple, Lily. We did it for all of us. Her voice cracked. For us? Or for your SUV and Mom's shopping trips? The room froze. Jenna's mask slipped, rage flaring in her eyes. Don't you talk to me like that, young lady. Enough. I slammed my hand on the oak. The sound rang like a gavel. This isn't a debate. This is evidence. Fraud, theft, and if you don't back off, Delgado will file charges by Monday morning. Mark's shoulders sagged. Jenna's mouth opened and closed, no words forming. Ruth sat back, arms crossed, a witness to every lie unraveling. For the first time in weeks, I felt taller, stronger. The weight of shame had shifted. It wasn't mine anymore. It was theirs. The room was so quiet I could hear the ticking of the old mantel clock. Mark stared at the papers as though they might catch fire. Jenna's hands twisted the napkin until it tore in two. I leaned forward. You wanted to erase me from the deed, but instead I've erased your power over it. The cabin belongs to the trust now. I remain trustee until my last breath. After that, it passes to Lily, not you. Mark's head snapped up. What? Lily froze. Me? Yes, sweetheart, I said softly, eyes still locked on my son. You'll inherit it one day, because you deserve roots, not debts. You deserve something built with love, not lies. Jenna shot to her feet. You can't just hand it to her. She's a child. 16, nearly 17. Ruth cut in, her voice steel. Old enough to recognize right from wrong, which is more than I can say for you. I pulled one last envelope from the satchel. Delgado's letterhead gleamed at the top. This is the formal notice of fraud proceedings. If you attempt to contest, Delgado will file. You'll face criminal charges for elder exploitation and forgery. The choice is yours. Leave quietly or fight and lose publicly. Mark's face crumpled. For the first time, I saw not the son I'd raised, but a man cornered by his own greed. He reached for Jenna's arm. Let's go, but Jenna hissed. She won't actually press charges. She's too soft. I met her gaze. Steady. Try me. Something in my tone, low, certain, snuffed out the last spark of her defiance. She grabbed her purse, muttering under her breath, and stalked out. Mark followed, shoulders hunched, avoiding Lily's eyes. The front door slammed. Silence filled the space they left behind. Lily whispered, "Grandma, you really did it. You saved it." I pulled her close. "We saved it. You and Ruth stood witness. They can't twist the truth anymore." Tears blurred her lashes. "I'll take care of it, I promise." Ruth raised her teacup. To promises kept. We clinked cups, not in celebration, but in affirmation. Later that night, after the dishes were cleared and Ruth had gone home, I sat by the fire with Lily curled beside me. The satchel lay empty on the table. The cabin's legacy was safe. I thought of James, of the years we'd poured into those walls, of the winters we'd braved side by side. He would have smiled at the fight I'd waged, not with fists, but with proof. I whispered into the quiet room. They tried to erase me. Instead, I wrote myself back in bold ink. Outside, the wind rattled the windows, but inside the fire burned steady. For the first time in years, I felt not just present, but powerful. Weeks later, the bank withdrew all foreclosure notices. Delgado confirmed the forged loan was void. Mark and Jenna went silent in the community, whispers chasing them wherever they went. As for me, I drove to Alder Hill one crisp morning with Lily. Together, we walked the dirt path to the porch. She ran her hand along the weathered railing. "It feels like it's still breathing," she said. "It is," I told her, "and so am I." We stepped inside. The air smelled of pine and old wood. I set a fire, and as the flames caught, I felt the weight lift. This was no longer just a cabin. It was proof that dignity could not be stolen. If you've listened this far, thank you. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Stories Women 65 Plus USA, because stories like mine deserve to be heard.